Today's Thursday, so we talk about success for Scrum Masters. We've been sharing success stories here on the podcast since 2015, so there's a lot to learn. But wouldn't you like to learn from people with decades of experience? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. The Scrum Master Toolbox podcast launched Tips from the Trenches, the Scrum Master edition audiobook. That's version 2 now out. There are 13 audio interviews, 3 hours of audio with Scrum Masters that have decades of experience. We've got Mike Cohn, Linda Rising, Lisa Crispin, Christopher Avery, Emily Weber, myself, your podcast host, Yves Hanul, the editor of the original Tips from the Trenches ebook, also available with the audiobook. Altogether, 13 super experienced Scrum Masters. To learn more, visit bit.ly/audiotips2. That's bit.ly/AUDIOTIPS and the numeral 2 at the end, all lowercase, all one word. So one more time, that's bit.ly/audiotips2 to learn more. And now, on to today's show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday this week with Ravi Jay. Hi, Ravi. Welcome back.
Thank you, Vasco. Delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Ravi, now we talk about the retrospective that you most like. We talk about that in the context of success because, of course, retros are one of the major tools we use to help teams be successful and of course, to have a successful impact in their work. So share first with us, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
The most fun, Vasco, I've had is with a Dart board.
What is that?
Now, this is it. And I'll tell you a why in a second. Personally, I believe in participation. And gamification usually elicits participation. So my favorite retrospective format, in this case, a Dart board, is fun. And that is why it's my favorite. Essentially, you print a dartboard that you can get off Google Images. You print that into an A2. You stick it to the wall. Give people who are participating in the retrospective 3 color of lean post-it strips. You know, the post-it strips. And each color stands for a specific theme. And I had 3 P-shaped themes: people, process, and product. Then we facilitate a conversation where we ask all of the people to paste their thought trains on the dartboard. Now, obviously, we start with one of the themes, e.g. people. We ask them, what are your thoughts about the last 2 sprints? What do we think we have nailed? What do we think we have ways to improve? Who has done a good job? What are those secret things that are lying in that we should be worried about? What's the white elephant in the room? Now, obviously, when they feel like we've nailed something, that people strip goes very close to the bullseye. The score on the dartboard reflects the value of that feedback point. Now imagine a 20 but inside. A triple score 20 is very valuable to them. And the middle, with the fact that it's in the middle of the dartboard, I'm understanding that they think we have begun to nail it. Now for me, all of the detail will be captured on the dartboard. Now, the most powerful thing for me about this method is you could stand away from the board and look at it. And without even reading a single strip, the colors will tell you what aspect of the team they feel they're nailing, e.g. what color clusters to the middle, and what they are not, e.g. what clusters outwardly, sometimes even outside the dartboard. Now, this is particularly useful for managers and execs who are not allowed inside and listen to the things. But if they want to have a bird's eye view, they could begin to understand the patterns. Is it people? Is it process? Or is it the product itself? And the execs have said to me that this was helpful to them without even getting into the detail. The executives, they would then trust their management teams to take care of the actual details. Now, there are other methods I've tried over the years, Vasco, some even online in the COVID context, but none for me was more fun than playing the dartboard, if you ask me, Vasco.
Absolutely. Well, definitely, we would like to have the link for that. So if you can send me the link for the description, that would be lovely. I'll put it up on the show notes so that people can actually go and perhaps even implement that as their next retro.
Happy to do that, Basco.
Absolutely. So, Ravi, now, because today is Thursday, we turn our attention to success and what that means for us as Scrum Masters. So, Ravi, share with us, what is a successful outcome for you in your role as a Scrum Master?
I've thought a lot about this over the years, Vasco, and I'll admit to being satisfied by doing the rituals really well in the last decade, while going through the shoe state of my progression in learning Scrum. Now, some of the questions that I asked myself as a measure of success were, and this is the last decade, did we improve our way of working? E.g., did we deliver more value than in the previous sprint? Do we have a team vision? Do we have a clearly defined sprint goal or focus? Do we keep our Scrum board up to date to make our work visible and transparent? Do we have a dashboard to communicate to others the status of a product? Do we have good quality stories? And any shrewd person will observe a common through line of an output focus on all the success measures that I just mentioned. Now, in this decade, as I began to challenge the status quo, I realized I was traversing through the hard stage of my learning mastery. I began asking different set of questions as a measure of success. I no longer asked the output focus questions. The two things that I started asking differently were, did the team deliver production ready software this sprint? That is, was there shippable code? And was everyone happy and proud of what they achieved? We used happiness index to find out if the team members felt that their contribution is valued and seen as important, and do they feel happy to work in this project. There is a subtle line of slightly quantifiable and slightly more outcome focus on these two measures. Now, during the recent years, I have stopped asking those questions for success. And now I ask myself these two questions only. Does the team, given a choice, want to work with me as their Scrum Master in the future? And two, is the index of participation in the daily stand-up at the right level? The index of participation is the number of non-solicited intervention that affect how the team works. Now, in terms of successful outcomes, obviously, what we are doing in service of delivering value to the people who are benefiting from the product we're building. In crude terms, Scrum for me is a means to an end, but that does not mean the transformation is just a thing without intrinsic value. In fact, allow me to quote a client colleague, Vasco. He said, Ravi, we don't need you to stay, but we want you to stay. For your UK audience, that is a Nanny McPhee reference, and is probably the nicest thing a client has ever said to me. And that's when I knew that my work as a coach and Scrum Master could conclude, and I could move to a different role, Vasco.
And what would that role be?
Now, often in client context, you land in a certain part of the organization and you are expected to solve their flow challenges. What I usually end up doing is, because of the work that we've done in that organization, another exec from a different part of the organization would bring me in to solve a similar problem with their organization. So I would move contexts and start from scratch again. And even in that context, my success would be based on those two things. E.g., does the team, given a choice, want to work with me as a Scrum Master in the future? And what is the index of participation?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the index of participation. That you did say, is it at the right level? Now, of course, understanding that everything is contextual, I would like to hear from you, what's your rule of thumb of what is a good index of participation?
Now, if I need, if we need more than 3, then that means it is a symptomatic of a problem that people are generally aware of subliminally, but not have spoken about. So a good index of participation is a 3 for every topic. And if it is anything more than 3, it is problematic for me.
All right. So why would that be? Why would more be problematic?
Because what it is saying is, if any specific topic, generally in my view, because of the fact that we work on transparency a lot, if there are still surprises at the stand-up, we are doing something wrong, right? E.g., we shouldn't have to wait until the stand-up to make things visible or transparent. Everything should be discussed during the day. But if things are coming up where a developer or a member of the team says something, and then 3 other people, more than 3 people, perk up about things that should be done or done differently, that is essentially saying that topic is affecting more people and requires a focused conversation in itself, which means, the typical the line, let's take this offline. It should be used at that time, and we should schedule a separate conversation for that topic. Anything less than that, you're talking about a mild surprise to a certain person, which is, life, because everybody has their day job. So less than 3 is good. Anything more than 1 is very healthy. 2 is excellent. 3 and more than 3 is symptomatic of me, of the team needing to reduce surprises.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great perspective. Thank you for sharing that, Ravi.
Thank you, Vasco. Thanks for having me.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so, tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.